Hey, this is Mike Addis. Thanks for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you this video. So today we're going to talk about lending money. So there's three forms of lending. There's personal loans, business loans, and mortgage loans. Those are the big three, at least for me. I have years and years and years of experience for getting those three loans. Now, first, the personal loans, I don't usually do. The personal loan would be a credit card. So I rarely will ever go out and get a personal loan. Why? Because I really don't need money for myself. In the old days, if I needed money, I would get a personal loan through a credit card, or another great way of getting loans that only cost you a few dollars is to get overdraft protection. So years and years and years ago, when I was broke and I needed the money and I wanted to make a purchase for something, I would use my overdraft protection. Why? Because it cost me like $35. And since I had a close relationship with my banker, he would waive the fee. So I could get $500 to $1,000 in overdraft protection. Just having maybe $500 or $1,000 in the bank account. That's a great way to loan money for next to nothing. And like I said, if you have a good relationship with your banker, which I did have, his name was Joe would just say, hey, Mike, no problem. He'd eliminate. So I was getting free money for a few days. Which is really the cheapest way to get a loan is through your overdraft. I don't recommend overdrafts, but that's how I did. That's how I got the personal. Now you can get personal loans from the government. You can get personal loans from banks. You can go to Fintech companies. I mentioned this in the last video, and you can just Google Fintech companies for personal money. My focus on this video is really about business. So all of my business loans pretty much do not come from banks, although I do have lines of credit with big banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase. I usually use big banks for loans, and usually the money that they loan me in the form of a line of credit. So when I use the line of credit, then I get charged an interest rate for that. But I don't really need the line of credit, but I have it in the event that I do need it. Say it's a big purchase, I don't want to touch my existing cash. I can loan the money and get it right back into the account with paying a very, very low or minimal fee. That's the best way to go. Now, what banks want is they want to have some kind of relationship. So if I have, let's say, $100,000 in the bank, they'll usually give you about 10 to 15% of the money you have in the bank. So actually what the bank is doing is loaning you your own money. I know it sounds nutty, but that's the way they do it. Another way that I get money, and the biggest way I get money, is through, like I mentioned before, financial technology companies or fintech companies. So I primarily use PayPal Capital. That's the best way to get loans, and you can have 2 or 3 different PayPal accounts, and the money you loan from PayPal for your business is based on your sales. So in order to use this type of vehicle for business, you have to have a business that actually creates money. If you don't, you can go to PayPal Capital, for example, and you can loan money on a personal level. I have never tried it. I don't even know how that works with them because I don't really need the money, but for business, it's outstanding. Why? They give you an answer like in 10 seconds. So let's say you're bringing in $40, $50, $100,000 a month on PayPal Capital. You can just put in the information they're requesting. They don't check your credit, your own personal credit, and they'll give you an answer in seconds, and then they give you 2 or 3 different options you can choose on how you want to pay it back and at what rate. So let's say I'm loaning $100,000. I can pay it back sooner, and it only costs me a lower percentage, or I can pay it back longer. They usually will want more money, and they take out a certain percentage of your sales. So if I'm bringing in $100,000 a month, they could take as much as 10 or 15 or 20% of that money off the top to pay off the loan. Now, I've done maybe $500,000 in loans with these guys over the years. The money that I loan from fintech companies like PayPal, I usually make at least 100% on that money. So if I'm loaning $50,000, I'm making over $100,000 during the course of a 12-month period. So if I don't need the money, why do I do it? Because I never know when I'm going to need it. You never know when something's going to come up, like the COVID. Well, you never know when a piece of real estate will come on the market. I don't want to go through the mortgage process. I'm going to talk about mortgage loans in a second. So I'll just pay cash for it, especially if it's a piece of property outside the United States. where lending isn't usually possible, especially in countries like that are in Africa, for example. Or you may want to go to Ohio, where you can get a $100,000 piece of property. In that case, without going through the mortgage process, I can just buy it for cash, loaned money. But I have to make sure the asset that I'm purchasing, in this case would be a piece of real estate, is going to give me a return on the invested capital, because I don't want to get stuck not being able to pay back the loans. And the third process that I use is bank financing or mortgage lending. Now, if you're an entrepreneur like me, you will probably have to go to stated income bank statements, not stated income, but bank statements. So they look at your credit and they look at 12 months of bank statements. If you own a property, you're going to have to give them at least 1 year of payment history. If you're renting a property, you're going to have to give them 1 or maybe 2 years of payment history. Now, there's a lot of guys out there. I can recommend one that I use all the time, but you want to look for bank statement loans if you're an entrepreneur. Why? Because usually entrepreneurs don't show big income on tax returns. If you're going to have big income, you're going to show the big income on your tax returns, you can go to conventional lenders like Wells Fargo is one of the biggest, but they're very, very tough. So I recommend that you use a mortgage broker, which is someone that usually has many. Now, most mortgage brokers are not that good. You need somebody that's going to communicate with you very quickly and tell you whether you can do it or not. Because a lot of these guys, they just accumulate a lot of information. You never hear back from them, you never get the loan. And then at the last minute, especially if you're going to acquire a property, they come back with not good deals. So be careful for mortgage brokers because they will play you. So you have to research on where to get the best deal. And really, it's all about the relationship with the mortgage broker. That's for mortgage loans, especially big loans like jumbo loans that are over $600,000 or $700,000. I don't know exactly the money, the cutoff for a jumbo loan. You want to be able to either go directly to your bank, assuming that you have tax returns. If you don't have tax returns and the tax returns are showing small amounts because you keep all your money in the corporation, then you want to use a mortgage broker, somebody that's familiar with how to get that loan. So you have personal loans, you have business loans, and you have mortgage loans. The best loans, in my opinion, is to own and operate your own business, have cash coming through the business. I do a lot of videos on how to own and operate your own business and try to make everything through business loans. That's not going to put you on the hook, especially when you're using a Fintech company like PayPal. When you're using a bank like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, one of these big banks, they're going to make a personal guarantee. The other ones do not. This is Mike Addis, Carlsbad, California. That's just a short blurb on how to get loans, where to go, and how to get them. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to hit that subscriber button. We want to keep these videos coming to you. We're going to do more and more on loaning money, where to get money, how to create money in your small businesses, and how to expand your wealth and financial freedom. Thanks for joining us. See you on the next video.